Connor here again, and in today's video we'll be talking about the different childcare options we have in Nigeria. So obviously in different countries you have different options for childcare, and it could be a bit daunting, especially if you're a new mom thinking how will I take care of my child, especially if you're a working mom. If you're a stay-at-home mom, it's obviously still useful to you because it doesn't mean you don't have different things you're doing that are keeping you busy. A lot of stay-at-home moms have businesses, they have different things that keep them busy as well, apart from like the already hard work that it takes to being a stay-at-home mom. So they will also be interested in like childcare options. So yeah, just keep on watching. So unlike people living abroad that have like quite a variety of childcare options, I would say the fact that it's expensive is not the issue. It's about the fact that they have so many options. We have a few options here, and I don't know if I would say it could be expensive, but it really just depends on what you're trying to achieve. But yeah, let's look at like the different options you can get here in Nigeria. Very first and most common one, the live-in nanny. Yeah, so basically this is a nanny that lives in the house, basically the parents' house. So okay, you're now the mom mother and father or whatever, you're now the mom, and this nanny is going to come and stay with you. So she's going to be living there. I say she, it could be he as well. He or she is going to be staying there, which means you take care of like their feeding. Obviously accommodation is out of it because they're staying there, and like you take care of other things depending on like your own commitment to your nanny. So okay, how do people usually get a stay-home nanny? So some people get it through their parents, so either like the mom of the lady or the mom of like the husband will recommend somebody. It could be someone from family, it could be someone that they've known, or whomever. So they recommend the person to you, and if you agree, they will come and live in with you. Other people, they use agents. I would say using agents is actually not bad if you don't have your family living in the same city as you, and you don't want a situation where they send a little child, because we all have different opinions, but I wouldn't want a child to work with me. A child to work, I would happily adopt a child, but I wouldn't employ a child. I don't think legally you can even employ a child. But yeah, so if you wouldn't want maybe your in-laws to send a child to stay with you, I recommend you can check an agent. So there are a lot of agents that provide house helps, nannies and stuff, and the good thing is that they will do a proper interview, they will vet them, do background check for them. And in case you need to change them, most of the agents in Lagos, they allow you to change 3 times, because you pay like a yearly fee to register with the agent, so they can change a maximum of 3 times within a year. If they have to change for more than 3 times, then they will need to you will need to pay an extra fee. Yeah, you could also get a living nanny from recommendations from friends or family or people living around the estate. So yeah, whichever means works best for you. I would say using your family, especially if you're using your own mom or your mother-in-law to get someone, if they are agreeing to your terms. Let's say you want somebody that is a bit more mature, someone that will actually be able to take care of the baby, not like a child that you'll be grooming and still be taking care of, and the child will not be taking care of another child or whatever. Whichever one works for you. If you're able to agree, then I think that is good, because they know the background the person is coming from. Most often times, like your mom will not send like a complete stranger to your house, because they're also worried like we're in Africa, so they know the person's background and stuff, which is not bad. So I think that is a good option. But if you're not able to have that access, I think the agents are like a really good option, because like I said, they will do the background check and all of that. When I'm talking of each of these options, I will obviously discuss the advantages and the disadvantages. Sorry if you're hearing this dog screaming in my background. I'm tired of waiting for him or her to stop. So yeah, there are dogs around my neighborhood and they are barking. So yeah, we're talking about both the advantages and disadvantages. So for this living nanny, let's talk about the advantages. The first advantage is that you have someone on call. So basically, because the nanny is living with you, so at all times of the day, if something happens, you're able to like call her or ask her to like assist you. You know how sometimes, especially like during the first stage of like your baby's life, it's a bit harder because babies don't sleep at night yet, like you don't sleep throughout the night yet and stuff. So you can share it, like you can take your baby between a certain time to another time, and then the nanny does it all the time, especially if if your mom didn't do omugo, or like if it was difficult for her to come for omugo, or whatever reason, it's only you and the nanny, you guys are able to rotate it because she's leaving. But if she was going home, obviously once she's gone, her shift is over. I'm not saying she would work throughout from morning to night 24/7. No, she's a human being, but you guys can plan yourself better. So yeah, that's one of the advantages. Another advantage, especially if you're able to get someone that you really understand each other and like you kind of build that bond, is that you have like a good understanding. You don't feel like like it's a stranger that's taking care of your baby, because you literally spend so much time with this person. You're literally in the same house 24/7. It now becomes like your sister or something. I don't know if you call it sister, cousin, daughter, depending on the age. Maybe like you're a woman of like a lot older age, and like there's this young lady maybe in her 20s that is your nanny. She can be like your daughter or your sister, whichever terminologies, but like she now becomes like family, and you are able to trust her more and be like more comfortable with her taking care of the kids, unlike the person that comes and goes. You don't know the homes they are going to. Even in terms of trust, like because you've done like medical tests and all of that, because you're living in the same house, you kind of can say that she hasn't gotten further infections or contaminations after like she started working with you, unlike the person that will be coming and going. You don't know the home they're going to and stuff. And like during the period of like the pandemic and all of that, it was really difficult for anybody that didn't have a stay in nanny. You would not feel comfortable with her coming to work because there was a whole pandemic. So yeah, like it's another advantage of having a living nanny, is that there's some form of safety and trust. I would say I don't think I know so many disadvantages, especially if like you have the type of nanny that you want in terms of age, work ethics, and like you've discussed what you want and like you're quite happy with person. I don't think there's so many disadvantages to being a living nanny, but I think maybe a bit of privacy. Let's say it was just you and your husband before, you now give birth, there's this new baby, then there's this new nanny. You may not be able to like walk around the house half naked, and you may choose to do so, but you may be a bit more shy, or there'll be more privacy issues. I think to me that's the only serious disadvantage. But you can let me know in the comment section down below the disadvantages that you know for like living nannies, and then the advantages you also know for living. See, like I have hinted already, the second option is the rotation nanny. The rotation nanny is the one that comes in the morning and leaves in the evening. Some people even have two nannies, like one will come in the morning and go, and then another one comes on the night shift. Whichever one works for you, but they are share on rotation. They don't live with you. Obviously you pay them a salary just like the living nanny, but they go home at the end of their shift. So whichever times you've agreed, if maybe she starts at 7 and works till 7, or 7 to 6, or 7 to 5, whichever way. So if you're a working mom, most often times you want the nanny to resume before your time to go to work, and for her to close when you've already returned from work. So she most likely stay back and do it. So it will depend on different people, especially in Lagos with traffic. It can be a bit difficult. So if to get like a rotation nanny, if you're living in like Lekki and like those kind of areas, it will be a bit difficult, because where would the nanny be coming from in terms of like her transport? Because for her to live somewhere, she has to live in an area that she can afford. So if she now comes from like a very far place and she's paying transport to and fro every day, it may not be as easy for her. So a lot of people tend to want to be like living nannies. But then if you're living in an area where she doesn't live so far, her transport is not so expensive, and let's say she already has kids, she has a family of hers, like that would be the best option for her. And if you're looking for like an older lady to take care of your kids, someone that has prior experience with children that they've raised themselves, then I think this could be a good option for you as well. So yeah, whichever works best. One thing that most people don't like about rotation nannies is that there's usually an issue of stealing. So because they don't live in, they tend to take stuff when they are going home. I don't think if they're taking like foodstuffs is an issue, especially if you've discussed it. Like I don't think there's anything deep. Like you can tell her, okay, when you're going home, you can take this, you can take that. But like you have situations where they take other things like personal belongings, and people are not so comfortable with that. And like I previously discussed, issues of like cross contamination, whereby you already run different tests with them, and then you've treated them for different things, malaria, typhoid, and other things that could come up. And because she keeps going home, there's like more contamination, and she comes back and all of that. And you know, with like especially babies, they're a lot fragile. You want a bit more of a stable environment for them. So that's why I like the idea of like a living nanny. If your living nanny is clean and tidy and you guys have a good understanding, it's a lot safer for your baby than someone that is on a rotational basis. When she goes back, I'm not saying because she goes home she must come with germs, but like it's a different environment. So when she comes back, your child is also exposed to those things. So let's say somebody had a cold in her house, maybe one of her kids or her husband, somebody has a cold, and she catches it, your baby is gonna catch it. But if she was a living nanny and nobody at home has a cold, then she won't catch a cold and give your baby. So yeah, those kind of. Next option is a nursery. So yeah, there are a lot of nurseries slash creche in Nigeria, and they take babies, I think just a few weeks old babies. Yeah, because some employers are not as understanding, and then the mommy has to resume work just a couple of weeks after she has given birth. You hear some people like 1 month after giving birth she has resumed work. So where would that baby go if she doesn't have a living nanny? And even if she has a living nanny, it's not everybody that are able to trust their living nanny to stay with the baby. We see so many videos online, we hear so many things about some nannies maltreating children and different things. It doesn't mean that creche and daycare is better, but it's an option. So you get people that actually pay the daycare, and I think it's a monthly payment actually, unlike school that is per term. It's a monthly payment, so they pay monthly and they enroll their kids in the creche. So they will drop the baby in the morning as they are going to work, and then when they're coming back they'll pick the baby. You have some nurseries that stay open till like 7 p.m. This is Lagos, people close very late. So whichever one works best for you. I won't lie, it's not an option I'm the most comfortable with. It will be very difficult for me to leave my baby from morning to like 7 p.m. in a creche while I'm at work. I would find it very difficult to focus and actually get the work done. Also, when they start going to creche, they start falling sick. A lot of times, the first time your baby gets a cold, first time they get like different things, all this baby sickness, measles, chicken pox, and then it's usually related to creche because they're in contact with different kids. It's not just a 1 month old or a 3 month old or a 6 month old or a 1 year old that is in creche. They have kids like different ages, sometimes up to 3 years or whatever, and like they have contact with different bacteria and viruses here and there, and they spread it across each other. Some parents say it's better for the baby's immunization in terms that they have contracted the illness before, so their body learns how to fight it. But I rather delay it to the point where my baby's immunity is stronger. It's not like they will never be able to get a cold or all these little baby illnesses. But if I can delay it as much as possible, I'll delay it. When they are stronger, you can fight it better. So the last but not the least option is recourse to family and friends. These days, people don't tend to like look at this option. Like, you don't always need to like pay a nanny or pay somebody to take care of your child. If you have like your mom of a certain age and she's not going to work anymore, or she's not running like an active business that requires her presence every single day, they can come and help you take care of your baby. Even if it's not just for mugo, like you can decide to rotate it. If your mom does 6 months, your mother-in-law does 6 months, before you know, your baby is 1. A lot of kids go to school quite early in Nigeria. You have kids going to school from like 1 year or before the age of 2. So if you're able to rotate it with like your family and friends to the point where your baby is going to start school, like I think that's not a bad option. It's something you should look into, and that parents are neglecting these days. Obviously, if you don't have that option, you have the other options, but I think people should look into it more. Some people have like a junior sibling, especially maybe a junior sister or a junior brother that maybe just finished school, is waiting to get admission to a high institution or something, and they can always help you out. They can stay with you for a couple of months just for you to get your balance. Remember, you're a new mom trying to figure it out. Any help is useful. So yeah. So in a nutshell, I would say these are like the various options we have for childcare in Nigeria. Will I say childcare is expensive in Nigeria? No, actually, I think it's quite affordable. For a living nanny, It starts from, actually, you see some people that pay as low as 20,000 naira. I think it should start from the minimum wage, which the minimum wage is 30,000 naira. And to me, anything from 30,000 naira upward, depending on the number of kids you have, depending on the number of responsibilities you want that person to take up in your household, I think it's okay. You have some people, they recruit a nanny, which is supposed to be majorly to take care of the child, but the nanny is doing everything, is cleaning the whole house, is cooking, is this, is that. So if you want your nanny doing that, she's now like a house help. I think you should pay a bit more. Some people, they have an agreement with this nanny that they would go to school. So most times the nanny goes to school while the child goes to creche, and then the nanny would pick the child from creche when she's done with school and come back. Or the nanny does like a professional training. So the mom, the family, the mom and the dad, they are paying for those things, paying for the nanny school, paying for this, which I don't think is bad. But I just feel like when it's an employer relationship, it's a bit easier to navigate, because a lot of times, like, the ones that you pay school is usually a younger girl, and it can, the lines are a bit blurred. It's a bit difficult to know if she's satisfied with just the fact that you're paying school for her, whereas if she was getting an actual salary, it's money that she can decide to save. You have a lot of young girls that take maybe a gap year, just like abroad, like au pairs and all of that. They take a gap year, they go in to do like a nanny job, and they save the money because they're not paying for accommodation or transport or feeding. All the major expenses are off because they're living with you. They're able to save up that money within a year. They can go back to school, they can use the money to start a business, they can use the money to do something for themselves and just, yeah, start up. For nursery and creche or daycare, the prices vary according to your locations. You have some areas where they'll have a nursery as low as, I think, 40 or 50,000 per month. I haven't seen less, but if you've seen less, please let me know in the comment section down below. And you have some areas that are taking up to like hundreds and more for daycare. So it really depends on like the area where you live and all of that. So yeah, in general, I would say it's affordable, and yeah, it just depends on what you can afford. So you can either choose to take living nanny, a rotation nanny, use daycare and creche, or family and friends. So yeah, let me know, what options are you using for childcare? Let's discuss in the comment section down below, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.